Hi everyone! So today I have some plants that need to be potted up, specifically the most recent or the remaining of the most recent Calathea warskawesii propagations that I did, and then our two Alocasia maharani corms that we harvested, or not harvested, but collected while repotting that plant not too far back. Those are ready to be potted up as well. And then we're going to repot my original rattlesnake Calathea. Now I say original because I have three now. One was a birthday gift to me. One I bought myself in case this plant didn't make it, because if you are not aware or you do not remember, this plant was featured ages ago now in a video I did called Is It Really Dead? This plant was severely underwatered when I bought it. It was to the point of not easily recovering from that underwatering, and I didn't know that. It got down to like half of one leaf, and then it staged its lovely comeback, and this is actually now a little bit bigger than it was when I originally bought it. But it is already, hopefully you can see, starting to push itself up so high in this pot that the dirt is falling out. Hopefully you can see all those roots are pressed around down in the bottom there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it up to a slightly larger pot. Now, unfortunately, I did water this a few days ago. This is how it always goes, you guys. Every time I'm ready to film a repotting video with you guys, the plants I want to repot are like really too wet to be repotted. Ideally, I would want this to be a little bit drier, but it needs to get done, and I can't just keep putting it off because I want to film it and it's too wet and all these other fun things. So we will work around that today, but we're going to start out with this Calathea warskawesii cutting first. I think all of these are going to be going into my forest floor mix, which I have a giant thing mixed up of over here. And as always, if you're not familiar with my soil mixes, I will link the video where I show my soil mixes, how I make them, and what plants I use them for in the description down below for you. But basically, this is just a mix that holds a little bit more moisture than an epiphyte mix, for example, which is what plants that live on the forest floor, such as the plants that we're going to be potting up today, prefer. So while I'm doing this, I have some things to catch you guys up on. Some not great things, some fun things too though, but let me start with the one that is not the funnest at all. Let me make sure I have all the pots we're gonna need. I think I do. And honestly guys, normally when I pot up these Calathea warskawesii propagations, they go into maybe a 3-inch pot, like max, but this one has honestly been in this water entirely too long, you guys. Look how long those roots are. That's ridiculous. I should have potted this up quite some time ago. So that's a lot of roots. So we are going to be going into one of these clear cups, which is kind of the equivalent of like a 4-inch pot, because that is just going to be best for this little guy. Okay, while I am getting this started, you may have noticed the title of this video mentioned that my nemesis was back. I would say my #1 nemesis. However, I feel like flat mites have become my #1 nemesis and my #1 like most hated pest. They are like the biggest pain in the ass. Spider mites are definitely a close second though, and I have been living spider mite free for about 1.5 years, a little over 1.5 years now, but they have made a return, you guys. They have made a return and I am not happy about it. I'm even more unhappy about it because I just put out, like a month ago, I put the beneficial bug sachets on all the plants in my house, including the ones that now have spider mites, and I feel like they didn't actually hatch. And I've been having this problem when I order from Nature's Good Guys in the summer, and they swear to me up and down, I get the special mite blend every time, pretty much. The first few times I ordered, I'll flash the name up on screen. I'll probably pronounce it wrong if I attempt it right now, but I'll flash it up on the screen for you. I did just these, but then they recommended the special blend because it's multiple types of predatory mites, and some of them can survive in higher temperatures than others, and some of my plants are in windows that are hotter than others, and so they just said that would be kind of the best bet. So that's what I started doing. Now, the first time that I did the special blend was in the fall, and it wasn't super hot here, and it worked wonderfully. That is how I finally got rid of the spider mites that were on my White Fusion Calathea, my Tenanthe luberciana, and my Caladium Kilo Beauty. However, like I said, in the summertime, when I order from Nature's Good Guys, I swear these bugs are arriving dead. And when I had the flat mite discovery, I got the vials of like live adults, and then the sachets are supposed to be slow release. So they're supposed to release within 4 weeks. So they should have already released on these plants that I put them on. And if that had happened, then I shouldn't have been seeing, like I shouldn't be seeing Spidermites right now, right? So I feel like they didn't hatch. The vials though that I got this time, they came in and I'm telling you right now, you guys, there was no sign of life in those vials. I was really kind of ticked off. Normally, like in the fall when it's not really hot here, if I order them, like I open the top and there you can see them crawling. They're larger than actual spider mites, so they're easier to see with the naked eye and you can see them crawling around the lid. That's why you always go right by that plant. Otherwise, they're just gonna be crawling on your hands and not onto your plant. But anyways, I opened it and like nothing was moving. Then I thought I saw one of the predatory mites that is red. They're the easiest ones to see. I thought I saw like one of those moving, but that was it, like nothing. I got my microscope out and like looked at them. Some of them were like legs up in the air, like obviously dead. So I reached out to Nature's Good Guys and I was like, these things are dead. And at first they said they can be like in a bit of shock or stunned. And so they told me to leave them in a dark place for like 30, no, he didn't even say 30 minutes. He was like 10 minutes or something like that. And then check with a magnifying glass or something and they should be okay. And I'm like, it's been a couple hours and I've broken out the microscope and nobody's moving. And so he kept telling me, well, they can survive temperatures up to, I don't even remember, 115 or something. And I wanted to be like, okay, they can survive that in the wild, but can they survive that in a sealed off vial in the mail? And they ship them with like dry ice, but it's always completely like melted and everything by the time it gets here. And it's overnight shipping, you guys. So I don't know. I just told him, I was like, there's no life. This has happened to me once before with them. And before they didn't even question it. They just sent me a replacement. So he was like, well, do you want a refund or a replacement? I was like, I want a replacement. I need these. So they sent me a replacement just of the vials. He was like, hold out on the sachets because they're slow release and see what happens. And so they sent me new vials and wouldn't you know it, they come in, I open them, same situation. No signs of life except for maybe like one or two of the red ones moving around in a vial of like, I think I got the 2500 one because I needed to spread it over all of my Marantas. I wanted to give more to the plants that have been quarantined upstairs, including the cyclamen, which is where I originally discovered the flat mite. Nothing was moving. I did not like reach back out to them because I was like, maybe those few little red ones I'm seeing will be enough. I don't know. But I'm guessing now that the sachets didn't work either. And that's why now I'm seeing spider mites. I have got this little guy potted up here. I'm going to water it down real quick since this soil is super dry. And then I will let you know exactly how many plants are affected. It's not just one. Okay guys, up next, we're just gonna be using these little 2-inch cups that I've added drainage holes to. By the way, I have these little cups. Some of you ask me about this a lot. They're on my Amazon storefront. All of my clear pots that everybody always asks about, the ones that you can get on Amazon, I have them linked to my storefront and that link is in the description of every single video on my channel. So if you wanna go buy some of these for yourself, you can. Just know that for the clear cups like this, I am using a soldering iron, also in my Amazon storefront, if you need one of those, to poke drainage holes in the bottom of these cups. All right, so these are gonna get used for the corms, the Alocasia maharani corms. And let's see, so here is the first one. Let's see how that leaf looks beautiful. Let's see how the roots look here. Just a reminder, I did leave these, lots of roots, in the bottle caps because I didn't have the little glass vials that I use. I didn't have ones with a large enough opening for how big these corms were. And as you can see, it works. You can leave them in the bottle cap, but as I've stated before, if it's a metal one like this, just be careful because I have had roots get stuck to the side and break off. But this one seems to be doing well. Those roots look pretty long. Normally I wouldn't be messing with them. I'm just curious how long they are. I probably could have taken this out way before now. I am gonna take off this dead bit of old petiole here. All right, and once again, it's just going into the forest floor mix as well. Always when you're potting up corms like this, make sure you don't bury the corm too deep. You just want the soil line to probably come to right about here. Theo, 1 second, you guys. Theo, hey, what are you doing? Mr. Grace Pants hasn't interrupted a video to say hi to you guys in a long time. He was just trying to get into the cabinet under the sink for some reason. Say hi. Say I'm still crazy, a little bit less crazy as time has gone on, but still Mr. Crazy Pants compared to the other two, but definitely a super lovey, cuddly guy as well. Okay, can you go be nice? You can go hang out with Scooter over there? Go hang out with Scoots. All right, sorry about that, you guys. Okay, so forest floor mix, making sure we don't bury this one too deep. And it's appropriate that we are potting up some alocasia corms right now because the first plant, I should say plants, that I discovered the spider mites on were all alocasia, because if you're not aware, alocasia are spider mite magnets. Part of that has to do with the chemical makeup of alocasia, the carbohydrates and the amount of sugars and things that are in the makeup of their leaves is more desirable to spider mites than other plants. And if they are a thinner leafed variety, such as two of the ones I discovered spider mites on, spider mites are going to go for those thinner leaves versus the Maharani's leaves are like this are really quite thick, but that does not mean that they won't go for thicker leaves. I will say I checked the Maharani mama plant and I did not see spider mites on her. However, my Alocasia bambino was the first one I noticed it on, which is behind my couch. Unfortunately, it is also behind the part of the couch that I sit on regularly, which means my hair's probably been brushing against that plant and getting spider mites on it. And for all I know, I could be spreading them elsewhere throughout the house and not have even realized it. But move one shelf over, and on that shelf is my Alocasia Tiny Dancer that we recently repotted, and my Black Velvet Alocasia, which I just showed you in last week's Summer Favorites video. I had that thing out on my office desk around other plants, and when I was editing that video, you guys, I went back, I didn't notice anything when I filmed it, when I was editing it, but after I discovered the mites on my bambino, I started checking the other plants behind the couch, found them on my Tiny Dancer, then went to check every other plant on that shelf, which includes the Black Velvet Alocasia, and wouldn't you know it, the Black Velvet Alocasia also had spider mites. I went back and checked the video from last week. I cannot tell in that video that they have them. So I don't know if they just like popped up that quickly, because it wasn't even like a full week. It was like maybe 3 days, maybe 4 after I filmed that video that I discovered them on them. So now I'm like panicking that I took my microscope around and was checking all the plants that were in that video that I had out on the desk around the same time that I had the Black Velvet Alocasia out. I went and double checked my Anthurium radicans Lux because it lives on the desk while I had that plant out. So far, no signs on any of those, but everybody's getting a spray down with my pest spray, you guys, repeatedly. Every few days right now, which is more frequently than I do for maintenance on plants with that spray. But right now it's like, no, 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 no. I don't need a full-fledged outbreak in this house again. I do not want to deal with that again. So I checked all the other plants on the shelves behind the couch. I didn't really see signs of them on the other plants. I did sterilize the base of the microscope and checked some of those plants, and I didn't see them, but it's hard to cover like every leaf and everything, you guys, you know, with a microscope like that. So I basically quarantined off. I didn't fully quarantine off because, I mean, they've just been living there. If the other plants have them, they have them already, and I don't really have a good place to quarantine them right now because all my quarantine places are being occupied by plants with flat mites. So I did take them to the side though, and I just did full-fledged isopropyl alcohol on a paper towel and wiped those leaves down thoroughly front and back. 2 days later, I went back and did it again, and I've been doing my spray in between. So hopefully I can get them under control. I would like to say it was not that bad, but there was webbing. Like the tiny little cupped Tiny Dancer leaves were just, that whole cup was just filled with webbing. I'm like, and I just watered that plant like a week before. I didn't see anything. This is how fast it can happen. This is why I say they are like, well, used to say they're my #1 nemesis. Now it's flat mites, because flat mites, like you can't see them and they don't do webs. So it can get worse without you even realizing it. But yes, this is one of the reasons just I despise spider mites. I've been so happy that I have not had them. I am not happy that I have them now. And I thought maybe we were restricted to it having affected the plants behind the couch, but that was not the case. Let me water this guy down and we will start in on the next corm. Okay, got our other little cup here. Let's see how this one's doing. This one was in a plastic bottle cap, so less worried about the roots sticking. This leaf is looking a little bit kind of twisted and deranged here, but that's because it was pressing against the glass that I had over top of it. That's the only reason that that is kind of looking like that. But as you can see, the roots are like growing out of the bottle cap. So I'm guessing we have plenty of roots in here, which it looks like we do. Pretty long ones as well, similar to that last corm. This was the bigger of the 2 corms. Just get some of this petiole stuff off of here, old petiole stuff. And we'll get this potted up. Ugh, slimy. Okay, so after I made this discovery and I was not very happy, kind of ruined my day a bit, I went about my business watering my plants that day. I guess I should let you guys know, I have kind of changed up my watering a little bit. I used to try to check before I had like plants for my rare plant pop-up shop, like before I was carrying plant inventory, I used to try to check all my plants like every day. I would just at least walk around, take a look, think about like, has it been a while since I watered this plant, or pick them up, see if they felt light, whatever it may be. I like do not have time for that anymore. So I basically break it up and do certain rooms each day. So like, let's say today, I believe, well, yesterday I did the living room and my bedroom. So today I will do pretty much all of the other rooms, but none of the inventory plants for my rare plant pop-up shops. And then tomorrow I will do those plants, and then I will cycle back through, and then pretty much every day right now, because it's so hot, I have to go outside and check my potted plants outside to see if they need to be watered. So that's like a daily thing. But that's kind of helped me out with like not feeling overwhelmed and stressed out about watering. But the day that I discovered the Spidermites was the day that I was going to water my bedroom plants and the living room plants. I mean, I'd already checked all the plants behind the couch, and I'm pretty sure you guys I haven't even tried to look at it with the microscope yet because it's going to be a pain in the butt because the leaves are so small, but my regular chain of hearts, not my variegated one, hangs above the Alocasia bambino, and until not a few weeks ago, last week sometime before I discovered the Spidermites, there were parts of it hanging down into the bambino, and I gave it a trim. So if it was touching the bambino, there's a possibility it has spider mites. Now, also spider mites are going to prefer the bambino's leaves over the chain of hearts leaves because chain of hearts leaves are really thick and tough to get through. So there's a possibility that they just left it alone. I treated it anyway with my spray. And by the way, you guys, if you're not familiar with my spray, I will link the video to that as well in the description below for you. But like, I haven't even wanted to try to look with a microscope. I was just like, it's gonna be a pain in the butt. I'm just gonna assume it has spider mites. We're just gonna treat it like it has spider mites. Like, I don't know, I was very upset. But then I went into the bedroom, and so first thing I did was I checked my Tenanthe luberciana, because the cats do like to get up there by the shelves on the back of the couch, and just like Toby, when he was still with me, they then go walk underneath that Tenanthe luberciana as they go into my bedroom if they want to go directly into my bathroom, and they could have spider mites on them and get them on that plant. I have not seen them on the Tenanthe luberciana yet, thankfully. However, as I was going around watering the other plants, I got to my Caladium Hello Beauty, which, as I mentioned before, that plant, the Tenanthe luberciana, and my White Fusion Calathea were the three that I just struggled the most with eradicating the spider mites from in the past. And so I got to that plant and I was like, do I even want to know? And like, I leaned in and I looked closely and I was like, oh, you gotta freaking be kidding me. It has spider mites too. I'm gonna water this guy down really quick and I'll let you know exactly what I ended up doing with that Caladium Hello Beauty, because I did something a little different. Okay guys, that one is squared away. I'm gonna get started on, I really wish this one wasn't this wet. I don't know, you guys. Okay, so what I was thinking I was gonna do, since this is sopping wet, and I hate doing this because it makes it so hard. We might do something different. Sometimes what I will do, you guys, is I will wet the substrate down before I put it in the pot, so then I don't have to worry about it. I can just water it again when I normally would, but it's hard to get it in all the cracks and crevices when it's wet. Obviously, it makes a mess and gets all over your hands. I think we're not gonna do that, and then what I might do is try to just lightly water around this part of the plant that we're gonna be putting into the pot. And then it should slowly kind of pull some of the moisture out of here too. And since this is a water-loving plant, this is not a plant that is like, oh my God, I'm an epiphyte and don't you dare let my roots get too wet or I will like rot on you. I think we will probably be okay. I'm not sure, I got two different pots. So this one is slightly bigger, not by much, than this one. But here's my thing, you guys. I think I mentioned this in my summer favorites video last week. My Calathea take off for me. It hasn't even been that long since I put this in this pot and it's already pushing its way up. And one of the other rattlesnake Calatheas that I repotted around the same time as this is doing the same thing. Like, it's driving me crazy too. It's gonna have to get repotted soon as well. I just don't have a pot big enough, I don't think, for us to do that one today. So this is why I have started sometimes, instead of going one pot size, aka 2 inches up when repotting my calathea, sometimes I go bigger because in my experience, those roots want to spread, and when I put them in a bigger pot, they spread fast, and then it's like I feel like I have to repot it again really soon. So I feel like this, for example, when you get down into the, yeah, we're not going to put it in this. So this is deeper, you guys. I don't know if y'all can see around the edges in there. My hands are probably blocking it. But that's not, whoop, drop it down in there. That is not a lot of space between the edges of that new pot and this pot. It's definitely deeper, which would solve the problem of all this dirt pushing up out of this. But like, that's really not my biggest concern, like, because that's just going to lead to me needing to repot this again way too soon. So I think we're going to go into this one, which is slightly bigger. I don't know that this is, let's see what it says. 17 centimeters, 2.2 liters. I hate it when they don't just say like 8-inch or whatnot. But once you get into the bigger pot sizes, I've noticed they typically don't do it that way. It's by gallons and things like that. But I think this is what we're going to use. I think this is close to being like an 8-inch. Yeah, I think that'll work out well. And then I am going to plant this though. I am not going to take the dirt like all the way up here, because that's another thing that I have started doing, you guys. Little tip and trick here for replanting calathea, or honestly any kind of rhizome based plant, because they have that tendency for the rhizome and the tubers, or tuberous rhizome plants for sure. Those tubers tend to like build in the bottom of the pot and shove the plant up. So when you repot them, leave extra space at the top of the pot. Do not put the dirt as high up as you normally would, to account for when we get to the point that that's going to start happening. Because otherwise you're just gonna be finding dirt all over your floor, which is what's been happening with this one and the other rattlesnake calathea I was mentioning, and that's highly annoying. So let me get this guy out of his pot first. While I'm doing that, what did I do with the Caladium Hilo Beauty? You guys, I am not that person who's like, oh my God, this plant's got pests, I can't handle it, I'm just gonna go put it outside. I know a lot of people will do that. I am not that type of person. Honestly, this time of year here, it is so freaking hot. There are not a lot of my houseplants that I can do that and they will survive. It's just too hot for them. And honestly, my backyard is southern facing and there's not really shade unless I put it under the umbrella on my patio table. And so I would have to put it out front, which is north facing, and there is one now big tree casting some shade there. But what I'm getting at is out front, it's almost too shady, but it's still freaking hot in the shade. It's been like 103, 5, all kinds of crazy high temperatures here this week. So normally I don't do that. I say normally because the Caladium Hilo Beauty is now living outside, you guys. But I was actually contemplating planting it outside anyways in the front yard, because caladiums typically will do well in shady areas. And I know for a fact that caladium do well outside around here. And I did look it up because I was worried that in this area they were going to be like annuals unless I dug up the bulbs, not the bulbs, the tubers, not the tubers. Let me try this again. The corms, and overwintered them, which I didn't really want to have to do. But I was talking to some of my neighbors that have caladiums planted, and they said that theirs come back every year without them doing anything. So my plan had been, now that I had the giant tree that destroyed my house in that storm the day after Memorial Day removed, there's just like this big old blank spot. And so I was kind of like, well, it'd be kind of interesting to put the Caladium Hilo Beauty there, and it is starting to sprout off like more and more corms, so it's filling in a lot. So I was like, well, that would be fun. So I've been contemplating planting it out there anyway. And when I saw it had Spidermites, I was like, you know what? That's what we're doing. We're planting you out front. Hopefully the natural predators outside can take care of these Spidermites, and I don't have to worry about them, hopefully don't have to worry about them spreading to any other plants in the bedroom. Because as far as I can tell right now, you guys, I don't think any other plants in the bedroom have Spidermites. I think the plants in the bathroom still only have flat mites, at least the Marantas do. And honestly, I still don't think my green Maranta has them, but I'm nervous as hell that the white fusion calathea is going to end up with flat mites and or spider mites. So far we're doing okay, but everybody's been getting a spray down, you guys. And then my plants that are prone to spider mites, such as the calathea white fusion and my other alocasias, even my maharani, because my maharani had spider mites when I bought it and I didn't realize it. It is less prone to them because the leaves are so much thicker, but everybody that's prone to them is getting more frequent spray downs with that spray right now, just in case they're on there already and I can't see them. So the plants that I know have them are getting a spray down every few days. The ones that are magnets and might have them are getting a spray down once a week right now. I'm gonna do that for at least a month on the plants that I'm not sure if they have them or not. And then we'll go back to, I might cut it back to like once every 2 weeks and then for a month, and then go back to like once a month. And this time I need to stay on top of it because a lot of you guys have been asking, well, I thought your pest spray worked for preventatives. Well, nothing's gonna be 100%, first of all, you guys. But the problem is I got behind on doing my monthly spray downs, and that's when I started having problems. So this is my own fault, you guys. It's my own fault. It's nobody's fault but mine. So I'm just gonna own up to it, and I'm going to try to be better. I thought I had enough in there, but in case you guys didn't notice, when I dropped this down in there, the leaves were like, so we gotta add a little bit more down in there. So yeah, that has been the not fun thing that has been going on the last week. So let's move on to some fun things and talk about some upcoming plant conventions that I am going to be attending. Get this positioned how I want it first. Just a little bit more under there. You know what I might do, you guys? I think I will do that. I think I'm going to, as soon as I get this to the height I want it, I'm gonna go ahead and lightly water this soil that we put in the bottom so that it's the correct dampness before we fill in around it. And then, like I said, I will just lightly water the dry soil around it. And I think that will work to resolve our situation here with this super wet soil from me just watering it a little bit more. This is like the opposite of what usually happens. Usually I put way too much in there and we're having to take some out, and I guess I'm being overly cautious today since I always do that and I'm not putting enough. Maybe just a little bit more there. Let's see. Okay, I think that'll be good. Normally, like with most plants, you guys, the leaves are like really resting there. I would like it to be like a little bit higher, but once again, because they have a tendency to push their way up out of the pot, I want to leave some extra space there at the top. All right, I'm gonna water this base soil down, and then we will start filling this back in. All right, you guys, I didn't water it down too much. I didn't want it to be too wet down in there because it will take that lower soil longer to dry out than this upper soil around these roots, since there are no roots drawing from the water down there right now. So now we're just gonna start filling this in. So upcoming plant shows that I am super excited about. So PlantCon is happening again here next weekend. So that is the last weekend of August. It is at the Allen Convention Center, which is actually one town up the road from me. It only will take me about 10 minutes to get there, which when I found out that's where it was gonna be, I was like, score, I don't have to drive to downtown Dallas. Not my favorite thing to do, to drive to downtown Dallas for conventions. Plus parking down there is always a nightmare. So I was super excited to see that it was really close to me and that they were doing a PlantCon up here, because they just did, the last PlantCon was, I think, in April down in Houston, and I wasn't able to make that one, but I did see a lot of footage from it on the Palm Street app, and it looked like people were having a blast. So I'm super excited that is coming here. So I am just going as a guest, you guys. Like, I'm not a vendor or anything like that. I thought about it, but honestly, you guys, there was a little bit of drama with PlantCon here. I missed out on the Facebook groups, what exactly all was going on. I got a brief catch up from one of the admins on one of the Facebook plant groups here about it, and I read kind of a question and answer document that the people who run PlantCon had put together, and they held like a town hall one night, and I joined that as well because they wanted to address people's concerns. But I guess what happened was they decided they were going to do it here, and then they waited a while to reach out to the local community about it and ask about, like, oh, can you recommend vendors that we can have there that are local and whatnot. And it created a little bit of, I don't even know how to put, I keep using the word drama because it seemed more dramatic than I think it actually was, you guys. It felt dramatic the way that PlantCon was taught, the PlantCon people were talking about it on Facebook. When we had the town hall, it felt less dramatic, and I think they felt that way too. And I think everybody was kind of a little bit more relieved, but I think people here felt like, why'd you wait so long to reach out? Like, you've never come here before. PlantCon's a new thing. Honestly, you guys, I could be wrong, but I think this is probably the largest plant convention that has happened here, at least since in recent years, since I've been into plants, and even slightly beyond that. I feel like there hasn't been like a major one here. We do have the Texas Aoid market that I don't even know if they're doing one here this year. I think they're only doing it in Houston this year. Maybe I could be wrong about that, but that was here last year, and I don't think that's even like going to be to the level that PlantCon is. And so I think a lot of people kind of were shocked by the pricing for the booths and things like that, and we're like, wait a minute, are you just in this to make money? Because it says you're a nonprofit organization. Like, people were wanting to see their financial records and things. And I don't know, I was just like, okay, like, I went to the plant hall. We should have called it a plant hall instead of a town hall. Makes more sense. But I went to the town hall, and honestly, having worked in marketing for 17 plus years and having done more trade shows than I can count, everything seemed pretty standard to me. So I think this was just a little bit of a case of people felt like they waited till last minute to reach out. They weren't seeing a lot of advertising for the show, which they have now started, because it does make more sense for trade shows. Like, you want to advertise early for the people that you want to be vendors at your show, but for the people you want to attend, if you advertise too early, people forget about it. So there has to be a planned set of touch points, is what we call it, that have to be close enough to the show for people to actually like buy a ticket and then attend. So like right now, there's like billboards all over the place for PlantCon, like just driving down the road to the grocery store, I'm seeing billboards for it and things like that. So they are advertising it, but I think people here just felt like they should have reached out to the local plant community that they wanted in attendance there, whether it be as vendors, social influencers, whatever, should have reached out sooner. But it seems like everything is kind of smoothed over now, so I'm super excited to attend. It is going to be 2 days. It's Saturday and Sunday. And then on Friday night, they're having like a reception at this place called The Hub. And so I'm going to go to that as well. And I will be filming it all for you guys. And you'll get to see all the plants that are available there. There's going to be other types of vendors as well. So that should be super exciting. So that, like I said, that is the last weekend of August, which means you guys probably won't get that video until the following weekend. But just know it will be coming. Super excited to attend that one. If you are local, or even if you're not local, if you're going to be here and you're going to be attending that and you see me, come say hi. Don't be shy. Some of you have come up to me and been like, oh, I wasn't sure if I was going to come say hi before. I don't bite. I promise I don't bite. If you ask me to take a selfie with you, I will, but just know I am not good at selfies, so you're going to have to be the one to line up the shot and take the selfie. I don't do a lot of selfie taking personally myself, but definitely come say hi. All right, just need to get a little bit more in this plant, but I want to tell you about the next show that I will be attending that I am very excited about, because I've always wanted to go since I got into plants, but haven't really had like the budget primarily to go, and that is the International Aoid Show, which this year is being held in Miami. Now, at first, I would have told you, like if you had asked me, are you going? I would have said, no, I'm not, because I actually do have a vacation planned for November, you guys, like an actual vacation. And I've been pretty much just saving up my money for that vacation. Luckily, I had miles I could use for the flight, and my parents have they're going to be coming as well. They have a timeshare, so we're using their timeshare points for accommodations, but like money for cat sitter / plant sitter, parking my car while I'm gone, any excursions we want to do, all of that. So I was kind of like, yeah, I'm not going to be going anywhere else except for that vacation this year. However, Palm Street reached out and was like, well, what if we pay to send you to the show and you can be a brand ambassador for us and film at the show? You know, I can vlog the show, I can go around, and I think I'm going to be doing a live stream on Palm Street as well. I still got to get the details of that worked out with them, because I've never actually done a live stream on Palm Street, so I definitely want to make sure I am well prepared for that. But this show is not until the end of September. I think it is September, I want to say it's the 20th and the 21st, but it might be the 21st and the 22nd. I will flash it up on screen for you once again in Miami. So excited to be going to do that. Very thankful for Palm Street to think of me and want me to be a brand ambassador for them. So super excited for that. I will keep you guys updated as it gets closer to that point as to like when a live stream would be happening on Palm Street and whatnot. If you don't have the Palm Street app downloaded, there is a link in the description below for you to do so. Just a reminder too that you do get a $5 credit if you sign up using that link down below. But yeah, I'm so excited for that one. I honestly have never been to Miami before, you guys. I've been to a lot of places in Florida, but Miami is not one of them. If you live in Miami, or even if you don't live in Miami and you're going to be at that show, also, if you see me, don't be a stranger, come say hi. Although if I am live streaming, you may be live streamed to everybody, so keep that in mind. Maybe wait till I'm not pointing a camera at something or myself before you come see me if you don't want to be featured on film. Now, if I am just filming, vlogging for my YouTube channel, I can always edit you guys out, but if it's a live stream, sorry, if you're on it, you're on it. But I hope you guys are coming, like some of you are coming, hopefully some of you live there. If you are, comment down below. If you're coming to PlantCon or IAS, comment down below and let me know. If you are another person who's involved with Palm Street and you want me to stop by and see you during a live stream, definitely comment down below and let me know and we can arrange something. But I am super excited about that, you guys. This plant is now squared away and I am so much happier. I might have put a little bit too much in the top here. Well, I might take a little bit out. I was busy chatting away and I forgot I was trying not to take it. I mean, it's not super high up at the top, but it just dawned on me that my whole point was to not put quite so much as normal in there. So I'm just gonna take a little bit more out of here. But it did need a little extra at the top anyway. It was kind of some of the, like the top of the root ball was kind of slightly exposed. So we definitely needed to get that kind of covered up. All right, I think that is much better. And actually, guys, this is just a tiny bit damp. Not much though. So what I might do is just let this sit overnight and hopefully that new soil will draw some of the moisture out of the soil that was around the roots. And then I'll do the light water down of just the outer ring where we added the soil to tomorrow around this time. And then I think this one will be good to go. And now it's got more room to spread out and get even bigger. And I'm just so happy that it survived. Honestly, that was the #1 goal with this plant. And now I have 3 rattlesnake calatheas when really I only need 1. So I really probably ought to try and sell the other 2 at one of my rare plant pop-up shops, even though it's not technically a rare plant, at some point in the near future. But that is what has been going on lately in my planty life. Those are the one super not fun thing I have going on and the exciting things that I am looking forward to coming up here in the next few months. I am also, you guys, going to try and get down to College Station, which, if you guys aren't familiar, is where Texas A&M University is here. And there is a nursery down there that, honestly, Palm Street has been wanting me to go down there and do a video of this nursery. I've been wanting to go visit them and do like a tour as well. So I'm trying to coordinate that, but every time I try to coordinate it, it's not that far from my sister's. I say that. It adds like an extra hour and some odd minutes onto my trip down to Houston to see my sister. But I figure if I'm going that direction anyway, I might as well go visit my family, right? But every time I try to coordinate it, something comes up and I end up not being able to do it. So I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to that, but hopefully that will be happening sometime here in the next few months as well. But I hope you guys have enjoyed coming along with me today as we planted up these plants and replanted this plant so that hopefully it will be happier and not knocking dirt all over the place on my floor. If so, please be sure to click that like and or subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you guys again next time. Aloha!